Namo So Shi Ye, Namo Dhamma Shi Ye So Ha, O Namo Manju Shi Ye, Namo So Shi Ye, Namo Dhamma Shi Ye So Ha. Yu Ju Na Lai, Chang Chu Ban Du Nan Ni Kyab Su Chi, Da Ki Jin So Ki Pe Chu Na Ki, Zhuo La Ben Jie Sang Ke Zhu Ba Shu, Sang Ke Zhe Dang Zu Ki Chu Na La, Chang Chu Ban Du Nan Ni Kyab Su Chi, Da Ki Jin So Ki Pe Chu Na Ki, Zhuo La Ben Jie Sang Ke Zhu Ba Shu, Sang Ke Zhe Dang Badu Nandi Gyasuji, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Banu Nandi Gyasuji, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Nandi Gyasuji, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Nandi Gyasuji, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Sonagi Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Sange Junan Sogi Chunala, Shangju Badu Dani Kyatsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Chonagi, Jola Benje Sange Ruba Shu, Ge Ju Shi Me Du Zhang Yu, Ra Ling Xi Ni De Kian Ba De, Sange Xin Du Mi De Wu Wa Ye, Zhuo Ge Na Da Shi La Zhi Ba Shuo Ye Dang Gu Ru Ren Na Men Da La Kan Ni Ya Ta Ya.
동아지나 신제제가 통지다고 첸데 만나서 가든지 못하다니 아마지가 진짜 마시고 통지 못하는 통지 좀 많은 대원도 전망도 그렇지 않고 힘이 되게 진짜 통지 좀 많은 지 계속 속은 되는 좀 대가 진짜 대가 다 제가 신경 만나는 시리가
All sentient beings have been our mothers. And all sentient beings have been our mothers for numberless times. They are as kind as our mother of this life. Even though all kind mothers sentient beings want happiness and do not want even slight suffering. However, due to not knowing the object of abandonment and object of adoptions properly, they create a karma that brings forth the result of suffering only. In our mind, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all kind mother sentient beings had happiness. May all kind mother sentient beings have happiness. I will cause all kind mother sentient beings to have happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
They just realize that they just the marginal since it did that all just each answer. As the Tara
Next, we generate compassion toward. Next, we generate compassion toward all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if the body of all suffering mother sentient beings were free of all adversities, such as all adversities, sickness, and harms of the four elements, and basically all sufferings. So may the physical body of all suffering mother sentient beings were free of all suffering, all adversities, and harms from four elements. And I will cause the body of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free of all adversities, suffering, and harms of four elements. And how nice if the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free of all sufferings of anxiety and panic and fear. May the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings be free of all sufferings of anxiety, fear, and I will cause the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free of all sufferings of fear and anxiety. And may the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free of all. How nice if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free of all negativities, be it coarse or subtle one. May the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings be free of all negativities, may it be coarse or subtle one. And I will cause the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings be free of all negativities, may be it coarse or subtle. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. In brief, how nice if three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free of all adversities. May the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings be free of all adversities. I will cause the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free of all adversities. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate bodhicitta toward all mother sentient beings. First, we ask ourselves who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings, from the sufferings of whole samsara and of lower realms. I should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of whole samsara and of lower realms. But I do not have the ability to do so now. Only those who have achieved the perfect complete enlightenment have the ability to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all sentient beings, by all means, I want to become Buddha.
더 뒤에 이제 통지제도 상지지 공부하고 샤오 maybe sequence of what 랑게니가 다이치고 모습도 넘바지고 주스는 거지. 그 최단계로 이좀 모두 동반에 랑게서 로지도 지금 단단도 처리해서 랑게니가 다이치고 모습 랑게니가 도징가 비츠가 넘바지 지세단이
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind that our aspiring conventional bodhicitta thinking, for the sake of all sentient beings, I want to become Buddha. These transform into a white moon disk at one's heart. Next, our ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness, in which all phenomena are lacking of inherent existence. So these transform into a white 5-point vajra on top of the moon disk.
더 뒤에 이제 통지 때는 상지지 공부도 뒤에 자전한 좀 주시는 측면이 지금 뜻한 상지지 공부를 서비스에 세타기스.
Set motivation, for the sake of all sentient beings, I want to become Buddha. For this purpose, I'm going to receive the commentary on Lamrim and practice it accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Oh yeah, thank you. 저 강다 담부 뒤로 그 지난 들이지랑서 좋아 당하게 되서 뭐 보지 그러고 이제 뭐 보지 지난 이 이게 제일 좋아 그래서 어찌고 소리를 들은 거 그래서 지금 중국이 때 같이 살고 지금 중국이 되면서 와 야 정말 뭐지 제도 그래서 공원 치고 되다 원로의 유식들 지금 중국에서 간다고 원로에서 시대에서 간다 신이 돼서 단로들고 신이 돼서 단조로 땅이 그래서 지금 같이 휴사로 신이 돼서 단조들고 그래서 다시 지금 중국에 상반에 간다 그러지만 지원 못하거든 우리도 들어서 들어와 그렇지 들어와 그렇지 받을 간다 지원 못하거든 우리도 들어서 다 지금 중국이 뭐니 라리 두고야 돼. 다 장도다 이제 어디 좀 쓰지. 들어와. 그럼 이제 좀 쓰지. 이치. 그랬더니 제가 마지지 안에 트랜스치에 있어. 좋아만 눈이나 좋았던 건데 좋아만 하고 있지. 같은 것도 시야 트랜스치로. 시사를 가서 비치자 참.
그래서 이 삼바당 라레니가 와. 그래서 이제 신된 주당 된조에나 디 군주야 되로. 원조 시대다.
이 시대는
that's
그거 제발에 이대로 와.
기부 총무기 군주.
이게 지원 답을 이루고 있습니다.
Yeah. So today we are going to have a lot of time for question and answer. So before we go to the question and answer sessions, so it's just a summary of what we have learned. So that we can it serves as a reminder for all of us of whatever that we have learned and we have gone through. So so then first we started with the Guru devotions and also the 8 leisures and 10 endowments. So this is the foundation, and this is like a preliminary. So when we start the Lamrim class, then we talk about Guru devotions and 8 leisures and endowments, right? So these two are preliminary, or you can say it's like a foundation. So after we've gone through the preliminary part, then we go to the small capable being. So what is the attitude of a small capable being? And that is to think about to think about death and impermanence, and also to think about the sufferings of lower realms. So this is how they cultivate the attitudes of a small capable being. And then, so this is the attitude part. And then the practice part of small capable being is they practice refuge, they practice because of the karmic cause and effect, and also they practice the morality of abandoning 10 non-virtues. Then we go to a medium capable being. So how do they, the motivations for small capable being? So the motivation for small capable being is they think about the faults of suffering and origins. So by thinking about the faults of these two, then they develop the disenchantment with samsara, or they develop the revulsion with samsara. So this is the attitude part. And this is the first part of the attitude, and the second part of attitude is they cultivate the wish for liberations. They cultivate the wish for renunciation, wishing to achieve the state of liberations. So they generate or they cultivate the minds of renunciation, wishing to achieve the state of liberations. So this is the attitude part, and then their practice part is, in order to achieve the state of liberations, then their actual practice is train in 3 trainings or engage in 3 trainings. So the motivations of small capable being then separate into 2 parts. One is the attitude, another one is practice. So the attitude is generate a disenchantment or revulsions by thinking about the faults of suffering and origin, and develop the mind of renunciation, wishing to achieve the state of liberation. And their practice part is, in order to achieve this state of liberations, they engage in the 3 trainings. And so the motivation for great capable beings that we are going to talk about then is generate bodhicitta. So by meditating on all mother sentient beings are once mothers, and then wishing to repay their kindness, and then remembering their kindness, wishing to repay their kindness, etc. So this the attitude part is to generate bodhicitta. And their practice part is to practice 6 perfections, such as the perfections of generosity, 4 ways of gathering disciples, and 2 stages, generation stage and completion stage.
Ella, I think you just now you translate a little bit wrongly. You're a small capable being, you said 3 higher training. I think it's medium capacity being. That's not the second part when you translate. Then Gishla, after that Gishla talk about great scope. Is that right? You say small capable being practice is to achieve liberation for 3 higher training, or am I here wrong?
Sorry, there is a medium capable being. Sorry, I probably I said it wrong. sorry. So the second part is, so just now we covered the small capable being, then we go to medium capable being. So then the medium capable being, the practice part is 3 trainings, sorry. Yeah, so the practice part for small capable being is to practice refuge, karmic cause and effect, and morality of abandoning 10 non-virtues.
예, 당한서 집이 중우들랑 같이 뭐마지 회사를 당한서 집이 중우들아 천득이 대화성 되는 것이 강사지도 집이 중우들아 타마 리 초송요 봐 집이 중우들아 타마 집을 타마는 리 초송 단 타마들아 예 천득이 대화성 되는 것이 강사 아주 취있게 잡마시고 취치는 팀을 천득이 대화성 되는 것이 우리 지역이지 타마디 다 지금 리스와데 중국 리스와데 와. 다 최대 최미지 생기셔와 생기 대화장. 다디 최케에 봐지. 지금 중국 리들이 최케에 봐지. 와. 최케에 봐이나야. 최제나 최마이비 샤와 간디 두바나 생디기야 대화장. 되는 얘기 되게 간사지. 좋아. 다 담보되지. 지금 중 타마디 리니 전부 초딩.
ini di chu ke lengi ro ini di chu lengi ini di chu che wa ina ini ang sit di dewa sit di tam.
Cannot hear you, Ken.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, okay.
So then we talk about small capable being. Then small capable being can be divided into 3 types as well. So the excellent type, the moderate type, and the lesser type. So the lesser type of small capable being are those who do not accept dharma, and those beings who strive for the happiness of this life only. So those are the lesser type of small capable being. Small capable being, they do not accept Buddhism. And the moderate type of small capable being are those who accept Buddhism, those who accept Dharma. And even though they do accept Dharma or Buddhism, however, when they practice Dharma, they practice for the sake of this life happiness only. So this is the moderate type of small capable being.
나 내년에 간다 집이 중국은 타마라 리니가데 다 간다 전주 랑제리 치리체 리제가 명예 제약 리얼 쓰고만 다디 와 간다 지도 간다 취치는 얘가 가리지나 간도 세디기 대와 뒷상도 내가 제대로 와다 리니데이나 집이 중국이나 그 취케네 거래 취제고요 취제고요 취제바데 세디기 대와 상태는 내가 취제바마도 신다 상황이요 뭐. 예수가 가서 전주 나저리 되는 데지 집이 중국 안에 지금 구수요. 얘니가
Yeah, so because of the lesser type of small capable being, so they do not accept Buddhism, and they whatever they do it for the sake of this life happiness only. So this is the lesser type, and the moderate type is, even though they do accept Buddhism or accept Dharma, but when they practice Dharma, they practice for the sake of this life happiness only. So they do not think about the future lives. They only think about this life happiness only. Therefore, these two, lesser type and also a moderate type of small scope of beings, they are not the small capable being mentioned in the stages of the path to enlightenment. They are not the intended audience of stages of path to enlightenment.
That is that give you children that Mandarwa. That children that send the Haja Chichi Sang Bangwell. Send the Jibu Chi Sang Bangwell. That's all kind of Sishiming into Chitape. Chidu with each other. Sishiming into the what's on the nature. Because that they can that give you chores. And when it changes on the Yanishi, Jibu and Tasso, Jibu Chindi Chuso, Jibu Chu, the Jibu Chudilla, and one dish to share.
Yeah. So then we come to the excellent type of small scope of being. So they do not think about this life happiness, and they think about the happiness of future lives, or the happiness of higher rebirth. Talking about next life, yeah. So they think about they only think about the happiness of future rebirths in next lives. So these excellent type of small scope of beings is the intended audience of stages of the path to enlightenment. So, and besides of these divisions of a small scope of beings into the three different types, then there is another type. There is another way to divide the small scope of beings. That is into two. One is ordinary, another one is special. So ordinary small capable being refers to the first two types of small capable being, which is the lesser type and also the moderate type. Then there's the special type of small capable being referred to the excellent type of small capable being.
Oh yeah, that day no the ni jebi chung tama dan di chenpo so ma shi gwa ni junse de no zo changju no jeng bala nyani chia la da pe ngwe ni chu pe so nyani chia la du shen la nyani chia ku di ya suba de kan de ku di ya ma suba de kan de jeng du wo ding zo xin ya che de da wa da gang da changju no jeng ba nyani chia le chen de zang ge che de nyani che ba na da nyani che ba bo ma che ba che ba ku zo lu ya ma shi de yong da re wa chen de zang ji bu ge che de nyani che ba na da wo ni da ne che ba ku zo lu ma re che ba ku zo lu ya pa jo ji da nga zo ni mu cha sing wa de ne wa ni ba sa ma do che ya ku zo lu ma shi wa wo da ngwe ne ji ge changju no jeng ba la nyani che ge ji ma ina da man ta la pe Sishima, send the Chichi Majepa, Sishima went to the Mingichi, Mantala did you want or that need Chipashia Chitua, and Mulamambushi Sarwa, that did not shoot at Rua, that Trembasu achieved there.
Yeah, so why is the reason? What is the reason that it divides small scope of beings into three types: excellent type, moderate type, and also the lesser type? Is because the disciple, when we say that we practice the stages of the path to enlightenment, so the disciple or the students themselves, so whether they become the intended disciples or the intended audience of stages of the path to enlightenment or not. So then this is the reason why they divide small capable being into three types. So whether we become the intended audience or disciples of stages of the path to enlightenment. So whether we become one of the disciples or not, or one of the practitioners or not. So this is the reason why it divides into the three types. So if we, even though we say that we are practicing Dharma, we are practicing stages of the path to enlightenment, if we only practice it for this life happiness only, then we cannot even call ourselves Dharma practitioners. So we are not even qualified to be called a Dharma practitioners. And in fact, if we practice Dharma for the happiness of this life, then due to the afflictions, then whatever we do, we will only accumulate negativities. So whatever we do, it will not become dharma. Whatever we do, then it will not become dharma. So at least, so when we the least requirement for us to practice or to become the intended audience or disciples of stages of a path to enlightenment is think about future lives. So that is the least requirement. So to think about future lives, not this life happiness.
다 도스지로와 다 만탈에 지비치고 근데시 다 기본 리스 와들은 나서 거의 핀소라 로 로바지 부해서 와라 거의 핀소라 로 로바지 부해서 거의 핀소라 로 로차리 다 친디기 대화라 로 로바 시샤리 와 친디기 대화라 로 로바 시샤리 거의 핀소라 베 로로산와 거의 핀소라 로로사 거의 핀소라 힘바 로비토리 내가 타바 되는 이거야 와 타바 되는 이거야 와 기본 리더와
Thì cái mà thay này thì khôi phun số thì lô lô rồi.
khôi phun số lô lô này, cái tháp là cái message rồi quá, tháp thời chữ rồi.
So in order to become the medium capable being, then the least requirement for us is to generate, as it become disenchanted with the samsaric excellences. So there is the requirement for in order for one to become a medium capable being. So the requirement is to become disenchanted or revulsed by the samsaric excellences. So if we generate disenchantment with regard to samsaric excellences, then we already generate disenchantment with this life happiness already, because we already generate disenchantment with samsaric excellences, right? So then it already included that we have generated disenchantment with this life happiness already. So after we generate disenchantment with samsaric happiness, then we will put effort in striving for liberation.
인디 다와진 조빠치의 리딩 들라베 되니 여러가 요 마니에스타디 무서 좋아지지 와 대상들라 다와진 조빠치의 리딩의 간다다 마다 고할마 리딩 참고 보이게 와 인디 들라 되니 대상들라 되니 로디 여러가 요 마니에스 지금 들는다
되니 로디
대상 되니 로디 여러가 마니에스 다 거의 피조 거의 셀러서 맞잖아 간단 거의 핀소라 로로차딘 거의 핀소라 되는 여러가 요 말이지 어디 좋아리고 저런지 걸렸어
거의 핀소 델로로네 니디 거의 핀소라디 되는 얘기 요나면
되는 얘기 요나면
so then you might have doubts. So when we talk about medium capable being, then we talk about generate disenchantment with samsaric excellences, right? Then some of you might have doubts. So the doubt could be, so since we say that we have to for a medium capable being, then we have to generate disenchantment with samsaric happiness. So do we strive for samsaric happiness or not? Samsaric excellences or not, sorry. So since we say that we have to generate disenchantment with samsaric excellences, do we strive for samsaric excellences or not? For example, these precious human rebirth endowed with 8 leisures and 10 endowments, that is a excellent basis, right? A good basis. So since it is still a samsaric basis, so do we have the mind striving for this or not? So this is a question. Yeah, so it's a question.
Answer question.
So did I answer is the question clear? Did I translate clearly? You understand the questions?
Yes.
Yeah, question. Okay.
William.
Yeah. Anyone?
We strive. Sheila, thank you for the question. after knowing there's this after developing this enchantment for samsaric pleasures, such as having all the 18 factors of precious human rebirth, we still strive for it, but do not attach to it, because we have to have a basis to cultivate maybe the greater capacity to develop bodhicitta. We need the excellent factors to cultivate those.
So any the 20 or is an enjoy lutin did tandu the 20 or is yine chasim the kiki or maris, kaisina, any the danger lutin the tone, any of the tanju same anything you mention is.
But the Charlie would just good answer. Yeah.
Okay, 1 point.
A good answer.
Competition, Sheila.
So very good. The Karasina. Koi danjo tesan digi yang de jine taba toyala chanju se gombala yanja te sambo de jiwa ne ma to baina taba to to ma bis de rimba ge de chanju se bi ji ai pale ka yo swa o ta xiancha de wo re se ne de swa de la koi pyezo la xianba de lo ba cha ba de lo ba is de chan ne ya bu shi ji.
Yeah, so very well said. Your answer is very good, because not having attached to the samsaric excellences, then we have to without having attached to the samsaric excellences, then we should again and again strive for these good basis with 8 leisures and 10 endowments, upon which we achieve the state of liberation and the state of enlightenment. Without these basis, this good basis with 8 leisures and 10 endowments, there is no way that we can achieve the state of liberation and enlightenment. So, for example, Arhat. So, an Arhat has abandoned. An Arhat has abandoned attachment to food and clothing. However, they do strive for it. Yeah. So this is the example.
지금 링 가서 맞아 지다 거의 등하더라 정도 들려 조시 지고로와 들려 조시 지고에 들려 조시 지와 성장 만소 코어 찌기 등하다 가르지 등에 간디지 위에서 지나서 코어 소수기 등에 가르지 이 지니 소 가지 넣는 리그레스와 코어 찌기 등에 간디지 위에서 코어 소수기 등에 가르지 이게 가도 지나다 그래서 땀을 넣는 이제 완전 뜻이 싫어져.
Yeah, so without looking at your test, without looking at your book, then you should, you should know by now and able to give me the answer. So for medium capable being, so they have to generate disenchantment with samsara. Yeah, they have to generate disenchantment with samsara, right? So then what is the general sufferings of samsara? So we have to identify what is the general suffering of samsara, and what are the individual sufferings of samsara. So regarding the individual sufferings of samsara, then you can, if you're able to identify more, then that is good. The more, then the better.
Don't
look at your text. Don't use your phone to search for answer.
Okay, ask them to turn on their camera. The eyes looking at Keshila, not looking at the phone.
Show me camera on.
On your camera.
Gallery view.
Keshila, the suffering, there are the 8 suffering, 6 suffering, and 3 suffering. Well, it's easier to remember. The 3 is easier to remember than the 6, then the 8. So they're all the suffering. So the 3 one is easy, like suffering of change, pervasive compound suffering.
Yeah.
Understand
you directly.
Yeah. Very good.
1 point.
Qua Jere, qua Jidima Sama, Jewa Gawa, Nawa Chua, Duba Job, Duba Kubusai Kumura. Then she did it. Let the Nibaman woman get beyond those to push Harawa. That is.
그래서 대기가 같이 두바당 제와당 두바당 제와당 이디 예범이
Jewa Gawa, Jidu, Guiding, Chidu, Duba Chidu, Duba, the what's the money, don't really move at night. As a Jitwa,
예능이 풍부돼요.
or the Muchis. The Tudela, she did it. Nibaman woman get beyond and under the did Tudua.
주디 양계돼. 얘도
He did it. Nibaman woman get beyond the under the Mutaja. Yanda Tominjo, Dromi Niba.
주디 지라마 성대 몸이 시바로.
Woman here. He did what? She did it. Woman here. Niba. Woman here. Lianda Yandando. Yanda and Sanjo. Sanjo. Yanda and Tominjo. Dromi Niba. We do it. They quite cheat much.
講底其實啲嘢未保障，呢啲我唔係保障，如樣樣多話打，呢啲樣樣現心做話打，
樣樣拖尾做啊，
拖尾都做，拖尾都，樣樣現心做話，但樣樣拖尾都做
啲拖尾嘅不做啊，
拖尾把咯，他們
啲係真係，但係佢攞晒嘅，攞晒，啲打。네 소시 등하데 나와이다 등도 소시 등하 소시 샤서 다 찬양 뒤에 정말 뭐 쉬쉬와
Yeah, so that is right. So whatever the answers that you have that you mentioned just now, so there are 8 types, there are 6 types, and there are 3 types. Then the 3 types is what you say: the suffering of suffering, sufferings of change, and pervasive suffering. So sometimes they call it pervasive. That is what we usually know about pervasive suffering. So there is other way to call it like sufferings of conditioning or pervasive suffering of conditioning. So these are all referring to the type of suffering, pervasive suffering. So then when we come to the 8 types of sufferings. So the 8 types of suffering is the sufferings of birth, aging, sickness, death, not meeting with the pleasant one and separating from the not meeting the pleasant one and separating from the pleasant one. So meeting with the unpleasant one and separating from the pleasant one, and the sufferings of not getting what you seek, and the contaminated body, contaminated appropriated aggregates. So these are the 8 types of suffering: birth, aging, sickness, death, so 4 already, and separating from the pleasant one, and separating from the pleasant one, and
meeting the one you do.
Meeting the unpleasant one, and not getting what you seek, and contaminated appropriated aggregates. So these are the 8 types. And then the 6 types of suffering is uncertainty, insatiability, and discarding body again and again, and taking rebirth again and again, and changing from high to low again and again, and without friends or without companions.
But this is very good answer, very good. That's what the one now that you also the that's an idea to that is but how is that?
So then the individual sufferings of samsara is then talk about the individual suffering, the sufferings of 6 realms individually. Like for example, the hell sufferings, and there are 8 types of hot hells, and there are eco hells, etc.
But the Abushulos, then he and Yachi, they are not in Chua Metabatala, a Zawa Sun Jinsi go, a touch of a sons as you are. He Zawa Sun, that Mambola Zawa Sun, Jinsi Sun to go your Jinsi Sun. The touch of a son, your Zawa Sun Jinsi, the touch of a son say, that then I did that JB change to Sunga, not to do Lo John at what, so Ruango, usually. The Katuna, no let them Zawa Sun the Giladas.
Yeah. So then we talk about death and impermanence, right? So when we talk about death and impermanence, then we talk about 9 roots, and 3 roots, 9 reasons, and 3 conclusions or determinations. So, and this, since it is a common practice for small, medium, and great capable beings. So, and I say it's very important for us to remember it. I say in our mind as well. So first, you tell me what are the 3 roots?
No need open a dictionary.
Yeah.
Someone else, please. Have interaction with Geshe-la.
Okay, death is certain. Time of death is uncertain. And at death, only Dharma will help.
So, any day, because I did show on you, any day, and I'm seeing you made on any day, she got any day, three months.
Oh, tell me, good, yeah. This question correct. That's our story. That you see with the things you know, come to the that's also we also the jail chance you see with the party was so years. Yeah, and just drink so much dancers. That thing is that Kadu, when the chance in Matola, and the country, you're not legend degrees. You see with the party was so.
So I'm not sure whether you already able to remember, that you have already memorized these 9 reasons and 3 conclusions or not. So if you're able to recite by heart, then that is very good. And if you can tell me now, then please unmute yourself.
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, the 9 reasons and 3 conclusions. So first we go for 9 reasons first. If you.
So for death is certain. There's no cure for death. Every minute you are going closer to death, and if you don't practice Dharma at death, you regret not practicing Dharma. Then for time of death uncertain is in this world time of death is there's no certification, there's no certainty of how long we live. We have more reasons for dying and we have less reasons for living. And the last one is at death, body cannot come with you, friends cannot come with you, and possessions cannot come with you.
Yeah, friends, possessions, and
body.
Because the chiwa mi doba, the chiwa di doya yo maris. Any the because I am gamma jije lining on to chiwa line, chiwa di chosu ni di dogi ores, tanyesu dogi ores. Any the chiwe kapsu, on to because the yamli machiwa in a di gyoba di tony, because a gyobe shigres, gyoba tante, gyoba tony, any shigres, niba de, because how long, yeah, any niba de on to gyuj. 做个人类可是对算可是个人类对吧对你的等等有嘛的啥个人类对图吧你的等等有嘛的你的希望的竞争能见能不有的你的顺便的见当然那竞争的永有的你的顺便的可是初步你的见面图吧当有的见面图吧当你看做个变作呀那这可是有些那的去推嘛的
哦到的是太对that touch of us is little high
yeah so then next question is so very good then next question is what are the 3 conclusions yeah easier
3 conclusions is the first conclusion is you must practice Dharma. The second conclusion is must practice Dharma right away. And the third conclusion is must practice Dharma purely.
So anything on the Nijimichi de Chunyam Cheore, anything about the Tanda, anything Chu Cheores, Sumba de anything Chu Tawa, anything Yamne Cheores.
The old Mandora, nearly on the Mandora, Chibas, nearly on Mandora.
Nearly long, anything Kazan, the young Kazan, the Chu Chewa, and the Taba, the Yamne Cheores.
Thank you so much. Today's answer is very good. Yeah. 당이 좋았지만 당이 미스테이션을 파피기스 좋아하더라.
So I will ask another one more questions.
당아서 신이께서 가들라페 다와진 조빠치사이 리딘 디기톨라 최신이 바상고레스 최시 맞아 리딘 대상본 디기톨라 최시의 내가 상고레스 대상의 배우적인 심지리 최기 상고레에서 맞아 최시보다 커레스 맞아 다와 진조바 쪽사 리디 땡디기 토라 취시 내가 상고했어. 어디 이 취시的 남산 나야 됐어.
去习了
시
for Dharma practice. Di kasa lendi pinachasana konda.
레이베스. 다와 진조바 쪽사 리디 땡 상본들라. 리디 상본들 리지 토차디 리디 땡들라 취시 내가 상고했어. 좋아. 취시 두부터 된다. 취시 상고했어. 그들 전체 이거. 자 취시부터 가르쳤어. 상고.
先点注意到了吧 So after we have obtained this precious human rebirth with 8 leisures and 10 endowments, so upon this basis, we must think about 4 points or 4 dharma. So what are these 4 dharma?
Again?
Yeah, we have obtained this precious human rebirth with 8 leisures and 10 endowments. So upon this basis, we must think about or reflect on 4 points of 4 dharma. What are these? 취 시세 대한 취득 말어.
취시 상시 상의 되지만은 두그바 두니바 첸데 두그바 다다미네 두그바 지와 다이팅 상부들 이 상부들이 더 차이지라 난 네바도 이 취기도 상부에스
삼거리 두고
당이 로그디 바가두르와 그처럼에 피지컬이 이제 맞아 다와진 조퍼치다 띠 상부지 더 차이 네바도 맞아 취시 상부에서 취시고데 두그바 do niba say that do giba dada ni do giba deshi to do giba wa do niba say that do dada ni do giba as that general justice.
Yeah, so probably a bit difficult. So however, regarding these questions, the answer is after we have obtained this precious human rebirth, then we must think we must reflect on these 4 points or these 4 dharma, or we have to practice these 4 points or 4 points. And the first one is we must practice. And the second one is we are able to practice. We have the ability to practice. And the third one is we must practice in this life. And the last one is we must practice right now. So these are the
this children be using show us. Also be using show the 다와진 조퍼진 이든지 때 체빠진 딜라서 다 땡들라 담비 취는 봐 누구래 에세로 담비 취는 봐 누구래 누구 비 준세의 가라래 다 준세시 누구 비 준세의 신제 탕지 대원 대바다 등을 문제 봐 지승게 대원 대바다 등을 문제 봐 지승 대와 누바다 등에서 탁 담비 취 코나라 알레 다 준세들다 신제 탕지 나도 리티 때 상부 리티 때 상부 내가지 터쳐들어와 이때들아 담비 취 누구래 누구 비 준세의 가라래 신제 탕지 대원 대바다 등을 문제 봐 지승게 대와 누바다 등에서 탑대 담비 취 코나라 만도 현실 관계가 요 말했어 다 이제 담을게 누구 비 준세.
So why do we say that we must practice? We must practice. So referring to the first point, so we must practice is because all sentient beings we are the same in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering, and the method to accomplish happiness and the method to eliminate sufferings can only be found in the holy Dharma. That is the reason why we must practice Dharma.
다데 니바 다두 니그를 가서 다와진 조반지사 때 상분 민지시 때 디기 토라 담비 추두 니그를 해서 누야 니바 열었어 좋아 때 상분 디기 토라 추르게 니바 열에 여부 진짜 가서는 시제 비신이다 네 나기제 대조다 되겠어 다와진 조반지 되겠어 좋아 시제 비신이다 네 비신이다 체 좋아 나기제 대조다 되와서다 당연히 땡기기 더 담비치 위에 니가 창상이 있어. 어디서
And the second point to think about is we have the ability to practice Dharma on this precious name above, on the basis of precious name above. The reason is because we have the complete conditions. So the external conditions that we have spiritual friends, and we meet with the spiritual friends as well. And the internal conditions is we have these 8 leisures and 10 endowments. So because this is the reason why we have the ability to practice holy Dharma.
That's somebody kanda do niba machi sendela do reso tamanda. Tawa jinjo pa te zambon de dichila dite tone do niba machi roa ta sendela do reso do nigre de ina sendela tawa do te do gi jinje ga chewa jema tanju de tawa jinjo pa de de hajan kombo reso 지와 도말 단주 네 까그레스 수수고 리딩 네 까보레스 지와 도말 단주 네 까서다 생들라 네바 누구레스.
Then we come to the third point that we must practice in this life. So not only that we have the ability to practice holy Dharma, and we must practice Dharma in this life, is because this precious human above with 8 leisures and 10 endowments is difficult to find in future lives. Therefore, not only that we have the ability to practice Dharma, we must practice Dharma in this life.
다와진 조반치자 띵상본데 리시 토사디 다단니 누구레서 다 랑사고로 고치고레서 나서 와 랑사 단다디 랑상 고치고레 대주기 전세대 가르레서 야 전세 지역으로 전세대 추와다 난칭 예매래서 어디 주로 하고 말했어. 난칭 예매 순서 단단히 그래서 어떤 전세대다 레레라 전세레레 여루다 이 상본들의 최진지 레레라 가서 두고 봐 두니바도 부자로 두고 봐 두니바 생들 두고 봐 야단이 두고 봐 그래서 상본의 전세레레 두고
So regarding these 4 points, there is a reason in relation to these 4 points. So then when we come to the last point, that not only that we have to practice Dharma in this life and we have to practice Dharma right now, is because the time of death is uncertain. So this is the reason why we must practice Dharma right now.
Thank you. That chance is that not what is right. That's some of the Jesus.
Yeah, so those are the questions that I wanted to ask you all. So and those questions and you have answered very well. Thank you very much. So now is your time to ask questions.
Then I have sent in. Anyone has questions? If not, I have. Lama Tsongkhapa wrote Middle Lamrim quite late in his life after completed the great thesis Lamrim Chemo. So it is essential points are put in Middle Lamrim. His intended audience are people who would have studied under him the great thesis or even Lamrim Chemo. For some of us who are new and come to this program, we have not studied other texts. What is your advice in approaching the studying of the Middle Lamrim text?
Ini di Lama Tsongkhapa ina di Lamrim jumbo di zombe ka la ini diang kasa kongi che kuche na di kasa me la kuche ini di me la ini di Lamrim jumbo di zomba ro. Ini di kasa Lamrim chimo di zomcha ne ini di Lama Tsongkhapa kuche me la ini di Lamrim di zomba re ini di Lamrim jumbo ina yang di Lamrim chimo gi ningbo ini di tu bare ini kasa di chidu jawe duja ina ini yang Lamrim chimo di jang cha ba den zo ini di Lamrim jumbo di kasa di Lamrim jumbo gi chidu jawe duja ro ini nangsu tanda basic program di saba jangyen den zo ini di Lamrim chimo di jang yo mare jang yung yo mare ini kongzo yang Lamrim jumbo di jang be ka la ini yang jang dang kan di ji nas ini kisla ge lapja kalup na lo na
저 지당 와서 나리 친지 쳐서데 저 투나 맞나. 저 나리 쳐모도 소시 좀 Jimbo the Loshi Jim the Shepherd. Lamrim Jimbo de Chichunian was a Zebanoshi.
Lamrim Chitin Chumsumina, the Chivas at the Loshi said.
That's what she did.
Soxi.
That you should do. That didn't do this in my shop. Lamrim Jimbo the Nanso Pay, and also Loma Saba in now, so God Devo, Didi, New, and the Nigeria Roa, and the Nigeria, Sama God Devo, Susan Peroa, Sela Yadebo, Missy Abujoris, Lamrim Jimbo. That Nanso Pay, Lojo Chicken Saba, Lojo Logicina, and Lamrim Jimbo the Missy, a Yabush. Roa. The Lamrim Jimbo Logi Yabo Jetsana, Yabo Jebsavina, the Yanja Lari Chemo Logi Jebaina, Mahashim school. Back from Mambo Jachemo, Lari Jimbo, Yanda Dodo Yabo Shady, the Lari Chemo Yanja Soso Logi Jebaina, the Telema what's the place. Roa.
Yeah, so even for a new, the first time studying Lamrim, then they study the Middle Lang Lamrim, then there is a special, the special quality of studying the Middle Lang Lamrim as well, because Middle Lang Lamrim is easier to understand and is shorter in length, and it is easier to keep in our mind, keep those essential points in our mind. So after we go through the Middle Lang Lamrim, and when you go back to study the great length of Lamrim, then you will develop more understanding. You will develop a better understanding. So because when you study the Middle Lang Lamrim, then you know the gist, you know about the essential points already. So when you study the great length of Lamrim, then you will develop a better understanding of Lamrim.
The Lamrim Jimbo Jipe, Susu, Lojo Jetsagila, Shulu Mount Balipe, the Lamrim Karina chance of it. Negaji Hako there, the child is rough. They are when see our son. Lamrim Jimbo, when it's a bit, once a bit, Dija, one more Randy Tasana. That cannot be one would not push you, John Sanjo in a Lam Chimo, Chevron, Jet Sanjo Jibaina. Lamrim Jimbo Chili, Dodo, that's a Dodo slash house. Dinners, some of the dumb genus of Dodo slash. What the new words, right? That answer Lamrim Jimbo Loja Saba Chinina. Lamrim Jimbo the Yapo the Sugar was a Lari Chaman, Meadow Pema Kachevanashi. Didn't and Dama Tonda Deva Samapa and Zitun and Rotun. What the a chance, they are well.
So, and one of the specialty of Middle Lang Lamrim is after we study it, then when we study it, even the one who study Middle Lang Lamrim is suitable for those with the sharp faculties or even those with adult faculties. So by studying Middle Lang Lamrim, then they're able to understand it. So after we study the Middle Lang Lamrim, then we know the essential points of Lamrim already, right? So when we go to study the great length of Lamrim, then we will is like the lotus flower blossoms. So then we develop more understanding. And then we can see all the all the points in great details.
Thank you. Second question.
Kishila, hi Tashidele. Can I ask a question? Regarding my question is on the lesser type of a small capable being, and it is said that they don't accept Buddhism. So why, number one, why do we include them in the small capable being? And are these people of other religion? Do they embrace other religion or free thinkers? Keshila, thank you.
The Kibuchu in the Rabjing Tasum Yoroa, Tamazete, in the Chu killing Yomarawa. Tama de Chu killing Yomarawa. And the Chu de Kimalewaina and the Kalijin Tadu, Kibuchu de Chugioresa.
Was it not Jibus or Chidang also Kansa Kangala Koyachida? Ya Kapto Jibus Sewadia, Mila, Namji Mila Koya. Ya Kato Jibus Sewadia, Lari Chemo, Ya Kato Jibu, Duja Sewadia, Jibu, Chu Kelem or Mazi, Shimon to tell me Jibu the Richard Koya, Jibu Chu. But the Jibus are not a job for Tan, Mabushers. 지다 강사 강가 제비 충수 로당지 지다지 다 까또 지자오디 맞아 다 단다 제비 충수 들어마 란디 타스 제오디 다 제비디 가서 제비기 미 그러나 빼샤네 와 미들라 간다 다 취케 또니 멀리지다 취케 레바이나 진데 장지 취지와 마 취지와 마도 세시마 타바다 당지 집어서는 철선 다 어다 들리지 원도 신게 시고 와 지당 가서 제비서 대장하는 뭐가 있어 와
그래서 기부세 때는 강사 참지에 당연하디 미바
야 리 제비스는 미바 여기 미란 주겠지 야 가서 라리 제모 체체 제모 세와데 제비 체리 추스와데 다 제비 중위나 제비 초들마다 신달라 양리 제비 제비 누구야 신나니
이니디 가장 지원이바 요래서 아니 진짜 인상이 디 출루 가서 신나 켈링엔 된소 이나 양기부 충분 참마데 두기요와 양 추기요와
가리세
출루 신다 왜냐면 예수다 보이나 같이 다 보이나 아니 공주된 디 같이 켈링인 다 보이나 이디 참마 기부 충분라 추기요나
다 제비 충분을 먼저 수수 거의 된다들이 제비 충분을 지 되는 간다 세디기 대화장 최대 만디비 세디기 대화장 전전에 샤워 지기는데 제비 충분 담아도 됐다
취담이 좋아 취케 미능에 데
다 취를 상호 마당에 가다 취를 상호 마당에 세디기 대화 지금 취도 두는 게
취세 대한 낭비 취로
당가서 취를 상호 취도 마저 간다 취를 상호 상호니 켈레 물리 취를 상호 당 먹기 좋아
시디
다 때마다 들어다 취를 샤워 이거 이나서 세디기 대화장을 두시고라 내가 보는 레슨 거라 다 간다
준조이나 대한 가서 기부 충분이라고 하는
최대요 아니 그다음에 말와 이로서 다 들어다 취는 들어서도 세디기 대화장 두시고 쓰고라
그래서 강사 탐지에 대한 미를 되니
강사 탐지에 미 말와
강사 탐지 심지 탐지라고
다 집에서 다니잖아 뭐 보였어 강사 창조라 보여지다 야 집에서는 미 보여지 야 까도지 집에서 집이 천리 출사 나들 고당지 미우스
So when we say small capable beings, so there are many ways to interpret this word being. So being can refer to all persons. So when we study Loric property, then we study Loric, then these persons also includes non-human as well, such as animal beings. So basically all sentient beings. So then all sentient beings, then there are different types, right? So there are those who accept Buddhism and there are those who do not accept Buddhism. So this is on a very general levels to interpret beings. Then in some context, when we come across this word being, then it only refers to human beings. Then, and in some particular context again, then this being, like in this context, small capable being, it only refers to the excellent type of small capable being.
실제로 도와도 돼요. 이거 너무 어렸을 때, 이 집에서 와서 다니 자다네. 이스 뭐 어렸어야. 강사 강가를 거기 와서 다 와이나. 와 다음에 다 집이 좀 담아도 간다. 신지 정도다. 신지 강가의 디원도 놓아. 그때 자 이제 고단
Yeah, so it's very good questions because you think about how to understand this, how to interpret this word being. So just now when we talk about the general way to interpret this word being, then it refers to all persons or all beings, right? So that includes humans and non-human beings such as animals as well. So therefore, an animal being can be animal being is also included as a small capable being as well, the lesser type.
제비 충무세와데 제비 충무들랑 아주 정보의 제바진 정보의 담보 중딩 레알로서 담아는 민인도 살아와 다 제바지서도 초들 다 늘고 다 상징하지 제비 충무세와데 양의 제비 충무세 되고
Yeah, so when we talk about these stages of the path to enlightenment, the intended audience of small capable being referring to the special type. So just now we mentioned there are small capable being. There another way to divide small capable being is ordinary. One of it is ordinary, another one is special one, right? So the intended audience that is a small capable being of stages of the path to enlightenment, referring to the special type or the excellent type, not the ordinary type, or another way of saying this is not the lesser type nor the moderate type.
Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, Ken.
Any other people? Geshe-la, in the chapter 12, delusion, mental affliction, we have doubt as one of the root, 6 root affliction. In here, the definition is kind of like, in the text, is kind of like referring to the 3 objects. There's Dhamma, 4 Dhamma, true karma, and the 3 jewels that we thinking whether exist or not exist. Earlier on, when we studied logic, the definition of doubt in that and the 7 level of consciousness is about a knower that has the qualm over 2 pointedly by its own power. So my first question is back to that class logic. What does by its own power means? Second question related to this is in logic and here, how can we take these 2 definitions and align the 2 definitions? But because it is like quite in surface is quite different. One is talking about a knower that qualm over 2 pointedly, but here is about doubt about it's more tending towards the non-facts. Only one small part of the doubt that we study in logic. You got my question. So first thing is about what does the mean by its own power. Second thing is these 2 definitions a little bit how to align these 2 definitions.
So ini di Jawa ni有的啥意思啦？yang tangi cuba nasi lori na, ngaco jamai kala tecung saya di kasati tani kasa jangdo ki tani su dobe riba di ra. Ini di lori jes, ini di Jawa tampo di jangdo ki tu tunda di kare jes. Ini di Jawa ni bade, ini ngaco yang kasati zanyun tu di jamai kala, ini di yang Lamrim kala. Ini ngaco di zanyun tu di jamai kala ini. Tecum saya de yang kuncu sumdang lenje dang densi la mine tecum de sa de ini kasa lori na tecum saya de yang jidang gitu ni segera ini jangdo kita ni su dobe riba dawre ini dia ngasuh dah lamrim tanda lamrim je jangan kala tecum saya de yang you message yorwa yang kuncu sumdang lenje dang densi la mine de tecum saya ini di ceni dawo ini di loga nangi doa
ceni loga yo mare That's good question. And did the logic as a test show, test show. Then also, Jida semi lola yielding also test on each other among us and she's in the Mamu yield. Semo might be lola, my yetan shield, semi lola. The yield logic as a ranto tends to be this test with semi, Jida test with semi. Jida test some ranto tends to be everybody is. They test on the also new Yamara. Didn't test on the new Mara. And then also Lari Chimo Castle was a test on the shield down at Damina is a shield. Damina also Diro. Zani Tuna, Zani Tuna, what Zani to Zani to the shield. They did test on the Nimuji test on the child. Nimuji test on the Damaso Lendela. Lende yola many of the Teson Tipe, Masu Tabatua, never Chimuchi or Yanichi, never Chimuchi. Gojo yola many of the Teson the war. The Teson of the Susupe, Tabatanchi, Kubato, Duba, Yanichi, Pachi Chimuchi. Jidan Maso, the Danda Nanika, the Shia Tesons, Rantojin time stop a reason, Teson head. Teson times of Teson Kangala Chabit, Teson Kangala Chabit. Larika's Teso Jada, Nimuji Teso, Zani ship, Zani to Nancy ship, Nisu Adelwa, Zani to the Nation, Nisu, down of Tamina. Who did a ship, make a ship, still on to the jet ship.
Yeah, so yeah, even though it seems like the definitions of doubt in Loric, awareness and knowers, and in Lamrim it seems different. However, the definitions are exactly the same. So when we study Loric, then we study this the non-valid awareness, and one of it is doubting consciousness or doubt. And this the definitions of this doubt, the definitions of doubt in Loric text is a knower that have qualms two-pointedly by its own power. So these definitions also apply to the doubt that we talk in Lamrim. So in Lamrim, we talk about the 5 views and 5 non-views, right? So then 5 non-views, one of it is doubting consciousness. And this definition is the same as the definitions that we mentioned in Lamrim as well, one of the 5 non-views. So, and these 5 non-views that we talk in Lamrim, it refer to 6 root afflictions. So these 6 root afflictions, the doubt being one of it, of 6 root afflictions, it is an afflictive doubt. So the doubt in awareness and knowers is a general doubt, a general doubting consciousness. And when we talk about general, the doubting consciousness in general level means it can be afflictive or it cannot. It is not necessarily afflictive. So it can be afflictive or it can be non-afflictive as well. So however, when we come to Lamrim, the 5 views and 5 non-views, and we talk about the doubt, then that doubt is afflictive doubt. So then this doubt in relation to 3 jewels, whether 3 jewels exist or not, whether a karmic cause and effect exists or not. So these become a huge hindrance for us to practice Dharma. It greatly obscures us from practicing Dharma. So you understand the difference, right? So the Loric doubt or doubting consciousness is in general. So it can be afflictive or it cannot, and it can be non-afflictive as well. So it's on a general level. So when we come to Lamrim, then we talk about 5 views and 5 non-views. That doubt is an afflictive doubt that obscures from practicing Dharma. So there is the answer for one part of the question. Yeah, so the definitions that we study in awareness and knowers about doubting consciousness, it applies not only in Loric, also apply to the afflictive doubting consciousness as well. So even that afflictive doubt, the definitions is, the definitions for that kind of doubt is also by its own power, then a knower that have qualms two-pointedly by its own power. So that's the question. What does it mean by its own power? So by its own power means mind and mental factors that is concomitant with the doubting consciousness. So those mind and mental factors, those concomitant mind and mental factors, they do not doubt by their own power. So they doubt by the power of doubting consciousness, or by the power of doubting consciousness. Any the mind and mental factors they are concomitant with doubting consciousness. Do they doubt or not? Do they have qualms too pointedly or not? Yes, those mind and mental factors they are concomitant with doubting consciousness. They do have qualms too pointedly. However, do they have qualms too pointedly by their own power? No. So by which power? So by the power of doubting consciousness.
Doubting also 대성들은 내용이 있다. 전에 좀 계속 제라바는 지금 상관하지 않고. 전에 좀 계속 제라바. 봐. 제라바. 나 제라바 뭐 여러. 지당 어떤 타니스 좀 생기 계속 지당을 와. 지금 다 산이 니마샤라 마샤나 비들이 계속 여러. 왜 계속 내용 개 말어. 내용 같은 거 내용 들어. 내용 말이 개와 말이 개와 말이 내용 들어. 산이 니마샤라 마샤나 계속 산이 잡았던 거 마땅한 사람이 계속 여러. 근데 내용지 말이 개와 말이 개와 말이 개와 같게 말이
Yeah. So the doubting consciousness or doubt in six root afflictions is a specific instance of doubt, where it is a specific doubting consciousness that is an afflictive one. So it's an afflictive type of doubting consciousness. So however, when we talk about doubt or doubting consciousness in general level, so it's not necessarily an afflictive one. For example, if I have a doubt thinking is tomorrow going to to rain, or is tomorrow going to be a sunny day or not? So this doubt, is it a doubt? Yes, it is a doubt. So is it virtuous or is it non-virtuous? It is neither. So therefore, then we have to say that this doubting consciousness is a neutral type.
Other question?
Yes, can I ask a question? Yeah, okay. At the time of death, our consciousness will leave our heart, is it? And then, so this consciousness will enter into the Bado stage. So this consciousness, is it together with the seed and imprint, and then all in and go to the Bado state? And then let's say if that Bado state, he will know that whether he's appear in the human form or an animal form. So that Bado state, so let's say appear in the animal form. So that Bado state will feel suffering because there's still consciousness passing to the Bado state or not. Okay, that is one question. Then from the Bado state, go to, let's say, the next rebirth, the rebirth as a human. So that consciousness also transfer to the new rebirth. That is in the place whereby the father's semen and the mother's meet together. That will go into that place. Am I right? Together with the seed and imprint. Thank you.
So 공기 제가 또도 데이터 가서 인디 강쪽이 가서 20 가서 디 10%대 인디 강쪽이랑 시와이나 디 10%대 다 인디 강쪽이 파도라 인디 디 10%대 인디 강쪽이 양 개와치마 주야대 양 10%대 하나 20%대와 인디 디 10%대 양 수윤당 파차대 냠도 10%다 인디 디 수윤당 파차대 냠도 저기 요나스 인디 공기 제와 담보대 강쪽이 10%가 시내 이는 강조기 시 가자데 파도라 파시라 조에 시바데 에니데 수연당 파자 당량도 요나스 에니데 지와 담보레 니바데 에니 가자데 파시가라 파도와데 페나차샤나 개와 치마데 중조기 개와데 개와 중조기 내라 개야이나 에니 가자 둥에 딩용기를 베스 둥에 파도이가라 파시이가라 에니데 둥에 딩용기 요나스 yang tunjo ingire yang tunjo gi dungye den yongi yona asika ene de sumba de padu gi ga la yang kyo chima dya de yang sheba de yang sun dang pa cha ene de nyamdu de phami ku cha la dya inas
ta dwa dang bu de jana na so be nang shi so yi ji nang shi so de da chang la de ba ta yi ji nang shi de jwa ma be ma ma ni de ta de ne ma shima de sang ji ji ko ma le ma tu pa de ne da
39번.
산지 그만 마도 받아야 하는 거니 그래서 산지 그만 마도 받는 거니 다 땡아서 전에 체가 말이 간다 저왕아마 때 고아라 토마야 말이 토마 메발에 단다 받은 나시디 요래 와 다 단단히 간다 산지 컴퍼니야 음박이던 동에 지금 뭐 내가 차요 다 코랑 나시 코랑 로디 코랑이 나시 데이트다 아차 개와다 먹기와 데이트 아차 상황 열다 열다디 좋아 다 바샤디 열에 뜨고 지와 가와는 미나 뜨지와 되게 돌아다 소소 바샤 기디 수사 상이 간이네 바샤디야 세마시 소소 레기 찐찐마지 바샤디 세마시 리 소소 지와 로와 지와 로 다 미기마 바시 지바이나 가와더바 소소 바샤가디 비 메바 차케 요마 열와
따바디 이시다 마차 능력 따반 능력
열이 메바 차야 메바 차야 그런 게 바샤디 열와 어디요 바시 다 그런 등에 용기는 좋아하니 봐도와 때 등에 용기니 열에 로와 바시가 용기니 맞을 때 바시 때 등에 용이 때 칼라 마라니 때 가사 가버때 맞아 차선다고 땅도와 이 가시 쇼핑을 받으잖아 다 받을 때는 맞아 단다 취되어 마무리 누구야 아 그때 등에 받으면 봐 열에 등에 열대 다 등에 열대 이노 그때 지와라 맞고 등에 용으로 하지 가라 등에 용으로 칼라 마라니 때 가리나 때 장선 등에 열에 지와라 맞고 좋아
끼워 말아봐 칼라 말아봐
이 열에 등에 열에 마무 열 좋아
카마 칼라 말아봐 이나 대한 동이 유미로 아도
두두가 사실 가와이는 거라 진주가
수표 아이나 대 콘솔라 팽
내가 스스로만 나도 취지가 취지이 바돌에 바돌을 빈도 주여서 미세 프랑치 취지가 취지는 와서 샤디가 좀 너무 좋아 내가 그때 전부 다 이제 보면 이제 그때 예자 방법이 있는 쇼핑
ini di tama di kasa katuina has a kiwa chima yang tuarwa yeah so regarding your questions so basically this consciousness are referring to the mental consciousness yeah so this mental consciousness the continuum of our mental consciousness flow from beginningless time and then it will flow to the future and then until we achieve the state of enlightenment and it will not disappear or it will not break yeah so this continuum of our mental consciousness it flows continuously from beginningless time and then to the future as well so whether to the Pado state or whether to next rebirth so this mental consciousness then it flows so and it flows and this mental consciousness are always together with the imprints. So, together with the imprints. So, whether it's in which it has a good imprint, it also has a bad imprints as well. So, basically, whatever imprints, and then they always stay together with this mental consciousness. In other way, this mental consciousness is the basis upon. This is the basis for. Is the basis to store those imprints. Yeah, so it is where the imprints are imprinted on those mental consciousness, deposited on the mental consciousness. So, do those Pado beings experience sufferings or not? Some of them they do experience suffering. Some of them they do not experience sufferings. For example, those who experience sufferings, they experience the sufferings of not getting food. So then, we do soot offering, right? So by offering soot to them, then it's very beneficial to those who suffer of not getting food in the Pado state. And then together with many other practices and many other pujas intended for them. And also we dedicate our roots of virtue with loving kindness and compassion to them. Then these are very beneficial, especially to those who are suffering in the Pado state. So besides of not getting food in the Pado state and they suffer, they're not being able to find a rebirth, a place for rebirth, then they also experience suffering as well.
Thank you. Good question. Yeah.
Thank you. Can I ask one more small question? Perhaps seeing a lot, too many movies. So Pado state will also appear at daytime, not only nighttime. Pado state or appears all the time in surrounding us.
In this case, you're referring this Bado state. You're referring to ghosts, right? I suppose. Intermediate beings.
Intermediate.
Do they appear in daytime?
Yes. Or any times. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Ini di kasar temu wangu tadi. Ini di kasar aku set padu aset de. Padu aset de ini di ni me gang lah. Yang shagi res, nangi res. Ini yang na di kasar temu mado kasar di shagi mari nangi maris. Padu aset de.
이가 요라고. 그 년세의 제목 그 말해서
nangi res, shagi res.
쓰기 도래.
padu de ni me gang lah di shagi res, nangi res啊。maksud di kasar 下完那我在的，空气样
你现在的土的，
明显的痛吧东西，那的卡啥的，之前那这样卡啥，做减米垃圾到位那冻结些到位，第一个的，怕多啊些的空气这个的别去当把的，怕多啊些的那你没讲啦，样那的什么嘛多的南极嘛的下极嘛的，
你痛말해서
米痛啊到位，
내도 지리 열에서 그 통 돈이 들어야 되는 뭐 통으로 세모 통으로
yeah. That's all. Yeah. So, if anyone able to see Bado beings, then they can see Bado beings in the daytime, or they can see Bado beings in the nighttime as well, anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Ila, I have one question. For beings who are taking rebirth, right? Because of the advancement of the technology, eggs are able to conceive outside the womb, meaning like IVF. So when the eggs are conceived, our mind will be entered when the egg is conceived, right? So now with the advancement of technology, eggs can be freeze, which I have heard lately. So when the eggs are freeze, they can freeze up to a few years. So what is the mind is going to do that? Are we going to trap inside there until the egg is activated, or how?
But the egg is freeze, then how's it? The egg is
consciousness.
Egg is not fertilized.
Yeah, it's not fertilized, right? Yeah.
It's not fertilized yet.
Consciousness enter
Yes.
Consciousness only enters when it's fertilized.
It's fertilized. Then
not
after
yet
that,
fertilized.
I don't think you can freeze a fertilized egg though.
Egg is not fertilized.
Yeah,
Not fertilized.
unfertilized one, yes. Sorry.
oh really?
Yeah, unfertilized egg and unfertilized other part, yes. But I think once it's fertilized, I think it cannot be frozen.
It grows.
Not yet.
Frozen one is not yet fertilized.
Not yet, yeah. The technology has not come there yet.
Yes, actually, what I heard from my friend, the egg is actually fertilized. Then they have choose the gender from there, and the balance of the fertilized egg, right? They actually freeze it.
Oh, okay. So
Read about it first.
Maybe the movie, right? I don't know. Maybe the movie. Yeah.
No, if let's say the egg is fertilized and is freeze inside, so what is the mind is doing that? Are we also going to encounter suffering or what?
Yeah.
Sperm and egg can be put together, but consciousness may not enter that product.
Yeah.
Once consciousness enter, they grow just like 12 links. Yeah. So egg and sperm can be put into one container, but consciousness may not enter.
Yeah, it's so when you say put in one container, does it mean it's fertilized, the egg? When you say put these
So for Buddhist perspective, when we say conceptualization of birth, when consciousness enter the product, father and mother. So in this case, the conditions are there, but the actual consciousness haven't caused the life or a birth to happen, like in the 12 links.
So the egg is not fertilized, or the egg can fertilize?
Scientific term, I do not know. Maybe her friend say it's put together mean fertilize, but for Buddhist term, consciousness had to enter where the birth start. Once birth start, the 12 links start.
So ini di kasan ngasu di senji di toni share da ore. Ini mi kasan ngasu di pami kutala. Ini kasan di namshi di juyo ro. Yigi namshi di june. Ini di kiwa di kesi di goju barwa.
Let me check.
Oh yeah. So ini yang kata yang jadi ci kosong sa ini di pamikuta de yo ba che ini yang tanda ini yang inji minji de pama de nyam du nigo marwa ini yang kata de ze de chu de ne ini di yang gi nang lo la de xida nang lo la xigo nang lo la de lu che ini di yang kata yang pu ki tu ro ini di yang kata pamikuta de nyam du de tang che ini di yang nam yi nam shi de yang ju yo ro ni ju ai na de kisi de go ju yo les ini tanda gi chen ri ye to ne kasa tanda pamikuta de tang cha ne ini di kya gang nang lo la xia yo le sa kya ba da wo so yo le kya gam nang lo la xia je ini de ga la yi gi nam shi de ju yo le bes yi gi nam shi di ju ai na ini di kasa yang di lo ka shi gi je la shi ne di kasa kya gam chu de je ni ji ne de bu de kasa de kale de bu ge cha ro ini kazan di lokasi ingon la kyagam nang lo dewa ina dungin yugi yorbes na yigi namshi de
de kono de nano chuba shi yora cheba yora sko kono shiba bi tisi ga kono pe chia mara juni yora nashi la chia mara juni pe ado so de kono chia raya chi tisi ji lewe de kono de mado de ya pe juni go tli de ba chi yama sko de ma shi ko pami ko da sha ya 나시 뭐시요 그런 데가 샤져라 그런 거 말아 그런
디자인이 디와 담보 데니 딘남시 주기 어베스 파미쿠다 나 카바 나나 샤와이나 그런 지안이야 그 시리엔드가 파미쿠다 고 나시 간 이슈로 와 주주 종원 에카잔 주주
뭐 제사 말하는 거 제사라고 주지나
기사 말아봐 이니 디 기사 데 라바 데니
제사 말아가는 저거 그래서
이니 디 가자 디자인 남시디 파미쿠다라 디 주요 말아
디고 디샤고 파미쿠다 요새 파미 나시 중간에 안 돼. 강하더라고. 맞아. 파미게 내가 나시 마시 강하더라고.
나서
이 사람을 레이징 채워 그랬어. 쿠차기 디세지다 나시기 디세지 레이징 빠져 채워 그랬어. 근데 레이징 디세지 내가 맞으나 파미쿠다 자또 장원 주자 되나 가게 지야요 말았어.
디두이니 딘남시디 주요 말아.
그래서 디세 레이징 채워 그랬어요.
Yeah. So it depends. So when we say a mixture of parents' substances, so the white and red. So when they mix together, is not necessarily consciousness will enter into that mixture. So it's just like the parents. They sleep together. So and then the substance are there, are present. However, it's not necessary that they're able to give birth to a baby, right? So similarly, so when there is a mixture of father and mother's substances, not necessarily consciousness will enter into that mixture. It depends on time and it depends on the karmic connections. So with these conditions present, then only consciousness will enter into a mixture. So a mixture of parent substances that you put in the fridge, then is not necessarily the conscious at that time the consciousness will not enter into that substance. 남시 대 주기 말아 이제라. 차가 나올라 대 주고 말아.
차가 나올로 가신 데이다. 데디 나시다 그다가 파미기 차들 레원지 뉴그레스코. 레원지 만디나 코라
Yeah. So even though you can put however long in the fridge, however, a consciousness will not enter into that mixture. So not necessary. There is a mixture, then also a consciousness will definitely enter into it. Not necessary.
To be specific, the eggs, the sperm and the ovum has fertilized. It has to fertilize. Then the consciousness has entered. That means conception has taken place.
Then?
Is that lah?
I think
it has to be fertilized.
I think fertilized. You know why? They actually can already identify the gender from there.
Yeah. So ini di kasa pamikuta di yuobada ini di kasa pamikuta di ini kasa amji 라고 이나 양 천리 받은 소 이나 양 부구디 양 보이나 모이나 디 하고 차례사 캬가 나로라 샤기 요네레 이네 가사양 포모 가리 마니 디시투리사 딘디 인자니 디 남시디 주차로와
근데 얘는 나시 주니어리고 나시 주니어리고
이네 디 캬가 나로라 로카시기 조 샤와이나 이네 디 푸기기 말어
이거를 다
푸기기 말해
지구로 졸라로 맨날 지구지
졸라 저기 말해 캬가 나로라 디 샤와이 샤비 김젠디 그냥 졸라 가자 아마 드래기 치도 그냥 로카시 이제 라이니디 파마이니디 어야 푸기야기 되바 요리스 애니디 신이디 캬가 나로라 수변제 애니디 수보 나로라 루제 주제 애니디 신이 푸기기래 제상이 캬가 나로라 샤와이나 애니디 가서 남시디 주차이나 애니디양 가자양 쿠타낭신디 디 넘버디 디르와도 애니디 푸기디 칭보디네 창이 말해
이거 보고 제가 보고 신나시 슈퍼다 세리바이 하고 왜 나이죠
애니디 남시디 주차레자 공속이 애니디양 타시게 남시디 단의 주요 말이스
나시 슈퍼다 세리바 하고 좀 맞죠
애니디가 포모 가리 마이니디 시토리에서
제슨 디바다 있고 던디지 요지라고 파미보다 제 가른 디바이나 지차지 요라고 이거 보고 이바 네바 코치 내야 제 가른 디바이나 지 아니나 지 도도지 차 요라고 맞아 파미코타 많이 봐 제신다 지들이 따지 지노 지차 요라고
데르디 남시 단의 주 마주바이네 디양 시토리로
근데 그 제 디디가 지여지는 이거 나시 슈사르스네 데 세리바 디 하고 좀 맞죠
yeah so how say you say that how the scientists or doctors they can tell the gender of the fertilized egg, right? So most probably they tell based on the substance itself. So yeah, they tell gender based on the substance itself instead of whether the consciousness has entered into the fertilized egg or not. I don't think scientists can tell. Yeah, Dr. Go, then how about? You're a doctor, so.
Yeah. I found, thanks, Mel. I just do some search. Yes, there are two ways of, for some reason, people want to delay pregnancy. They can do these two ways. One is just an egg. They can keep in very low temperature, minus 300 degrees Celsius, very, very cold until like cold hell. Then they want to use it, they unfrozen it. That's number one.
It's an egg itself only, right?
No partner, no husband yet. Women will want to get pregnant in the future. Second thing is they are undergoing cancer treatment. They want to delay the pregnancy. Second thing is, their partner, they want to have a baby, but they don't want baby now. They want to frozen the fertilized egg and sperm fertilized with the already fertilized. So consciousness would have entered to that place, and again they store it in very, very cold temperature, so metabolism is very low rate. They can still like dormant, not doing anything. The consciousness stay there like not doing anything, no grow until later 10 years can be 10 years. They take it out, make it warm, then start the baby grow, and then put back to the mother's womb, and then baby can be given birth as a healthy baby. So I am just thinking that when one about to die, if you are very hot, you crave for very cold temperature, you may choose to go to the dish in the science lab, be used in the IVF, and for a long time you'll be cold in frozen state. Then be born again later.
Yeah, ini di kaza ndo to ko ina di ang kaza ni dang ni yore sa ji na di ama gi gong a di ama gi kaza cha di ini di kya ga nang la sha ya ni dang ni ba de ini pa mi ku ta di dang de ini di kya ga nang la sha ya ini di ang zo kong so gi ji wa da wo na ini di ang pa mi ku ta de dang cha wa ina ini di nam shi di ju gi yo me di ji wa da wo re nam shi ju wa ina ini di kya ga nang la sha gi yo ro lo ka shi jing la ini di dung ye nyong gi yo re be ska is na kya ga nang la yang di ka sa yang ka sa chang lue se di yang sung ya re chang lue sung ya di to ne be di ka sa di chang mo din kya ga nang la de gi yo ro ji za ni di nam shi ju wa ina ini yang ka sa yang di chang mo gi dung ye di nyong gi re
가는 거 신지 뭐 붙여야 되겠어. 진짜 참 가는 거 신지 뭐 붙여야 돼. 강 봐.
이디 이제 저 담보 대니 딘남시 주기요메 디디 땅차 막혀가 나올라 샤시
레긴 대화 차요는 레긴 대화 주네 주로 요 참에나 데코르시고 말했어. 차버렸으나 간을 찌는 게 마음으로서 신지. 저는 간을 나도 말하지 간을 야 맞지 하고 말했어.
Ligi kaza ligi jawa yona any ti namshi di jugiro any ti kaza juaina any ti tungin yungi re ti mani wadi
이 놈은 그런 레라 음악 레. 그 예사 놈을 레 마사이나 놈 말이야.
aleo tungin di
이거.
that's all kaza kaba na la shawaina ti tungi
제가 듣는
리 yona any ti tungin
놈을 레나
di
놈 말해서 그 놈이 놈가.
yeah
on us.
yeah so
I have
Yeah.
one question.
간다 너무 들려서 간다.
yeah hold on so Kishla said how say if the fertilized egg that you put in the fridge, if the being the bottle state beings have the karmic connections with the parents, then the consciousness will enter into the fertilized egg. So then whether they experience sufferings in the fridge or not, then it depends on whether that being has the karma to experience that sufferings or not. If there is, then they will experience the sufferings in there.
그 간을 넣어 저 넘어가지.
가리지요.
간을 넣을 때 신지 마음을 찌는 거를 무슨 차를 신고 말이더라.
샤니 말에.
그 진짜 그것도 차고를 위해서 넣는 거라. 정말 죽겠네. 너무 차를 배 차고 말해서 넣고다. 이 신지 배 간을 넣을 때 잡아 넣는 찌는 게 여러 있어.
이렇게 하는 말이.
무슨 차를 신고 못 왔어.
Yeah, so just like those. Yeah, so because and there are many beings who are born in the cold, the snow mountain, or even in ice, right? So there are many sentient beings. They're born in ice or in a very cold mountain, or snow mountains. So do they feel cold or not? So and even if they feel cold, they do not die, right? They do not die of that cold. They die in the cold environments, right? So, and because of Malaysia probably is a tropical country, so we do not know about this. However, there are many sentient beings, they're born in ice or they are born in a very cold mountains, snow mountains, they do not die. Yes.
But I need some advice from Geshe-la. As Geshe-la said, we have to practice now. Well, that's obvious. Because time of death is uncertain. Death is certain, time of death is uncertain. And there are many causes for premature death. So that is the danger. So we have to study, there's no doubt about it. But there's so much to study. Time is very limited, our life is very short. So my question or my request is Geshe-la give some important advice how to balance between study and practice. As practice eventually is the most important one. Because without practice, whatever knowledge we have is remains as knowledge. So you don't practice and time of death happens any moment. As you can see, although I'm an old man, but there are many people much younger than me in the LGC side, which I see have passed away. So it is something that is very practical, very real. So I think I need advice from Geshe-la how to balance good practice and study, and how to emphasize on practice. And practice, I mean genuine practice, meaning that if you don't renounce or have some strong attitude of renunciation, then your dharma is contaminated, which means that it will produce more samsara. It means that there will be no progress in terms of liberation or enlightenment. So because of this contaminated, and it's very difficult to renounce for people like us. Whereas monastics are different. They make up their mind to renounce, and they start very young studying Dharma. Even at 5 years old, they start memorizing already. So they have all the time to study Dharma. We don't have that kind of luxury. I know the importance of study. Tsongkhapa has always study. And also Holiness Lama has always said so. And but one time I was asking Lama Zupa about Lamrim and studies, and I mentioned the word samsara. And the Buddha stared at me without saying anything. What's samsara? So I get the message that everything what the Buddha says is a projection of our mind. So we have to really put everything into our hearts into practice. So this is my question, therefore is rather my request, what advice can Yeshua give us? I mean, not just for me as an old man, but for all people here, so that we can make use of the Dharma. Of course, study is very important, but if you don't put them into practice, what's the use of study?
So, yeah, any tanda any kasa anti tangi di kasa mas tanda any di nyamni chewara. Chui any di nyamni cheware. Kan isna di nangchi nyeme re. Ni ngangzu dia chiwi ke any di mampu yore. Jesa any ngangzu yang lobjung cheware. Ini ngangzu di lobjung kasa janggoya any di mampu bedwa. Lobjung cheware any di janggoya mampu bedu. Ini tanda ngangzu di lobjung chea dang. Kasa lobjung chea dang nyamne. Ini dia ni nane. Ini di nyamne di kasa nyamne sia di ini ke chewa yore. Kan isna ngangzu di yang mutu ni lobjung chewa ina, nyamne ma chewa ina, yang lale ma tawa ina. Ini di kasa kangjang wa di xiyu re ma do. Ini di lale nyamne di chaya marwa. Ini jenjang inzang ngangzu di tanda lobjung chea dang nyamne chea yang di lale ta di ngangzu kandi balance chea di. Kan isna tucu di mampu yo marwa. Ini ngangzu yang di tucu tanga dawo ina di kandi lobjung chea dang ini di nyamne chea yang tucu xadang dawo. tucu xadang dawo ina yang di kandi chigo yo nas. Yang nyambo suya dawo tam chiga dawo ina.
지단 뒤에서 나서 로종신나 담부 꾸노 야부지 코된 로종 가지신의 양이 레스코. 지단 가서 야 양에서 지단 미스카네야 와서 배다 장주지 신지고 거라야 미스기 양이 에스나 상타야 또막 대소 이라 상타. 지단 가서 로종세어도 가서 꾸노 토마 꾸노데 배 랑지 신지 탄지 된다 두엔데 릭치도 빙이 로종 지고 있으나 다가라 양이 찾아서 양이 다가라 했어. 뭐 also musical pen che gong dan ju gong sa tan de misa lo da ma la yore swa gong ji de la mise che ma da yore na na lo la misi che ba ma da yore ma da ji dan ma so nya ni da lo jo se che ba xiao ge ge lo ma se kare se na ma so ku lo ya bu ko ba ina lo jo ga ze ji na ga nya ni re se.
Yeah, so first of all, as when we say study and practice, right? So if we study with the motivations, I study for the sake of accomplishing the welfare of oneself and others. So then we study. So this study with this motivation become a practice. So even though we are studying, however, studying with this motivation, it become a practice itself. So if we talk about practice in particular, so then we talk about like doing meditations, for example, how to cultivate bodhicitta or meditate on the meaning of emptiness. Then we talk about analytical meditations, and we talk about stabilizing meditations. So in general, when we talk about study and practice, there is no need to make a distinction between these two, study and practice, because study itself, with the motivation mentioned just now, itself is a practice.
지단 가서 체크 물린다고 이나 따지다 니선을 갖게 먼저 로조 지야인도 따드서 근데 그 장바장에 말도 지단 양이 그게 내가래 가버렸어. 지단 시한다고 지 소들이 선을 말도 가르래 접 따지 지야지 말도 지단 수술에 다 취가 만리비 로조 지스 나지 지단 근데 참도 다 미스기 년에서 이렇게 빨리 가버려. 지단 비용이 오라 취는 거지 장들어. 장사들이 되는. 그때 년에서 갈래 가보라서. 근데 그노 갖게 매 봐지. 장바이나 들어도 무슨 노래를 불러지로.
So if we are talking about study like in school and without any motivations as mentioned just now, and then when we study who's non-dharma related knowledge, itself is also very good. However, then we can hardly call that kind of study a practice. Yeah. So in brief, if we study with the good motivations, study itself also become a practice.
Our life is full of distraction as a householder, or even as a sangha. So when we do retreat, purpose of doing retreat is that we can avoid this distraction from the daily life. And even during the retreat, there will be so much distraction. So what about this? You know, so if you are not practicing pure Dharma, you will not end up with any results at the time of death. At the time of death, what is important is the Dharma, the mind transformation that you have done. So this is precisely what I'm trying to do, that you know, emphasis should be given on the actual, really, I mean, whatever you study, of course, you can't put everything into practice, but the gist of it should be able to be put into practice. And if that is not done, then what sort of results can you expect?
So ini di kaza so pina chashina cham degi na ini di cham degi gowa gyungsen thangbu kaza jik de yang ngangzu sim ma yin wa ini di che du ini di cham degi ro wa ini ngangzu di cham de we ga yang dandu yang sim yang jamin da de yin gi ro wa ini di jamin da yin gi ro is ini yang kaza chi ga su ini di chu ma do ba ini di xian ping gi ma ro wa ini ngangzu yang la len de da go ro wa la len de ma da wa ina di sim de ma gyu wa ina ini 이 가상 저 가리 용기를 간디 차기를 해서 아마 시위 값수 하나 되지마 대부 가리 용기를 해서 용기를
라리치는 맞다나
라리치는 맞다와이나 근데 이 가서 시위 값수 양 가상 가리 용기를 애니가 저 가서 치마이나 양 대부 가리 용기를 해서
라리치는 맞지 위나 가서 치리 갈라피는 단 진짜고 동이 남으란 치달아 가서 배 이쳐보 시월에서 가서 그 상황 normal pe chi shida ji che ma to pa nan chi kala pe gese ya ko shu ji ngan pe shu to ina je ma pe le je wa sambu ji le do so pe ro chi ya ma la pe shida chi ma nan chi kala na so pe ndi ani che ya de ji kombo da ro shi na ji nyu nyu le ro pe ngoni ni to ji yo na ma to ro wo de ni da ma so pe chi ya bu ji nyang le ya bu ji de ina 단 치가랑에 등이 이거 말해와 맞아 주바 그 로지스 이 말와 맞아 담보 치가랑 민지 받아 와 민지 봐 치가랑 배 수도 취야 붙이는 치가랑 엔지 봐야 말은 그 받은 제 봐야 말이 되와 어디 다디 다라서 좀 배 드롭 야 본두서 코신 어디 맞아 배 대샤이스 와 그들이
대샤이래 that's all. Yeah. So, so when we talk about other beings at the time of death, then they are beings who don't really study Dharma. However, at the time of death, they die with a virtuous mind. Then it will lead them to a good rebirth or fortunate rebirth. However, this is very rare. So, therefore, it's very important for us to practice it, to also implement what we have learned. Then at the time of death, so if we practice well, then at the time of death, then definitely it will also lead us to a fortunate rebirth.
Thank you so much. That was 제마들 제가 제비 첨부기 이것도 다 참아 제비 첨부라 오늘 전에 답에 제시 제발아 년이 제가 그거 수고래 다들 참아게 배 수성년에 전에 제비 첨부들라니 지마 마치바 에 컨트 주도시 제게서 소소 반번이 배 생각 반장라고 지다 소소 배 세휴지 빠와이나 때문에 야부 차원에서 와 어디다 와서 대침보시라 차대 제비 첨부들 와
Yeah. So stop here, and next class we are going to start with the great capable being. So then in which we are going to talk about the practice of the bodhisattva practices. So it's very important for us to to have this commitment, have these determinations that I'm going to study, and then I'm going to listen to the teachings without a break. So and to encourage yourself to listen to the teachings.
당어서 계좌 원들라 들어와 어째 템바지가 들어와요. tal 하바도 공사 정거 좀 초기 땡지 진짜 정말 사실 그런 수준의 퍼센트 기본도 쇼도 좋아. 그때에서 어느 서버는 뭐지? 근데 그 상황에서 같이 차 투로다는 투 보지 가는 거 너무 리지 보여요. 그래서 정말 지치다. 다단다 그 만두다 니야치 대지 신경 최근 내세의 최고 표면에서 디바타는 산지 보여요. 다 만두다 니야라서 등이 이게 자다 그런 등을 먼저 같은 거 보이거든. 그때 얘달아서 같은 로아신지 뭐 소셜 컨디션을 between 영식 같은 거 등에 대해서 발표도 처리. 그 대치 필수서가 되는 상식 공부도 처리. 대치 정말요.
So we dedicate the roots of virtue accumulated through these Dhamma especially through these Dhamma discussions, may Buddha Dharma to flourish to all 10 directions, and may all sentient beings to have happiness. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue for the upholders of the Buddha's teachings, represented by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and also our beloved Geshe Lama Zopa Rinpoche as well. May they live long, excellent health, and may their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously. We also dedicate these roots of virtue for world peace and happiness. May the world be free of wars, conflicts, disasters, and we also dedicate these roots of virtue for those who pass away, especially those who pass away in this pandemic or in wars and conflicts. May their negativities accumulated since beginningless time be pacified immediately, and may they quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue for those who are in the state who are suffering right now, and especially those who suffer in because of wars, conflicts, and a pandemic. May they quickly be freed from their sufferings and quickly achieve the excellent happiness. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue because so we also dedicate these roots of virtue for those who offer assistance and help to others, such as doctors, nurses, and those who help others financially, especially those help those wretched beings. So may their wishes be accomplished instantaneously, and may their life be filled with excellent happiness.
Dāvi jīnyā sādhē dīvān dēdē dāng dōwā kūnlā kāmbē dāng chībā jīsū lōsāng dāwa yī tēmbē nīmbō rīndō sē jē shō jāchū sēmjō rīmbō jē mā kē pānāng kē kū jē kē wā nyāmbā mē bāyā kōndō bē wā shō jāmbē pāwā jīdā kē bā dāng kūdō sāmbō dē dāng dē shīndē dē dā kūngē jēsū dā lō jē kē wā dē dā dāng jē rāb dō tūmī dāwā rīmbō jē mā kē pānāng kē kū jē kē wā nyāmbā mē bāyā kūngē kōndō bē wā shō rīmī dāwā rīmbō jē mā kē pānāng kē kū jē kē wā nyāmbā mē bāyā kōndē kōndō bē wā shō Ewe den zingyo mewe kuzu dobo ze shosung kuwe le men tu chuba da so du je gendo shab den sho de sung du ju pe lang che zen si zi kang chen chen du yun chan la pe mo ten zing ge zo la so wa de so shen duen ren jo sho pe de ma lu ba gang le ju we sang pe yi shin no ka den su me ten zing ge zo la so wa de so du shen ren jo sho de ra we ko we shin gang de pen dan de wa ma lu ju we de chen re si ma ten zing ge zo yi sha pe si de pa to de nu ji. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you.